it's me, Mario. I'm gonna win.
That sounds
Did you guys
exactly
watch that?
like Mario.
No,
No.
but I haven't. But my kids are super into Mario Kart right now, so you better believe that we're watching a lot of Mario.
You've done it. Have you taught them to play Kinopio, as is the chosen path?
Yeah, was obsessed with Mario, so he always wants to be Mario no matter which game we play, and then wants to be that fucking Wang Wang. I don't even know who that Wang Wang is, but he's just like Wang Wang, Wang Wang.
There's a Wang Wang in Mario Kart?
He's in Mario Kart 8, and he's in Super Smash Brothers as well for the Switch. There's a Wang Wang. Check it out. It's real.
No, you're probably talking about Baby Bowser or some shit. There's definitely not a dog.
It's a Wang Wang.
I don't think a Bowser would look like a Wan Wan.
Yeah, there is a Baby Bowser.
I have played 7,000 hours of Mario Kart 8. There's not a goddamn dog. Oh, you mean the one from Animal Crossing?
Exactly, yes.
Oh, yeah, Isabel. Okay.
There you
she
go.
is a one.
Bam, bam.
That's true. She's very cute. I did an illustration of her once that I'm quite proud of. Maybe I'll show it to you.
Okay.
Hello. Hi, how's it going? Welcome to Mangaroos. This is the podcast where each week we read the first volume of a different manga and then we talk about it. Here's the catch. We read the manga in Japanese, but as you can tell, we talk about it in English. I'm Jason. As always, I'm joined this week by...
Moon Alien Alex.
And the Satoimo to Jason's Haruko, Mark.
I've always felt that about us. It's really true. We'll get into that as we move through the episode.
Really? We will.
You can't just,
we have broached the subject.
Yeah, you can't just drop a scintillating tidbit like that and then walk away from it.
This is going to be a heartwarming episode.
I would argue that the majority of our episodes are heartwarming.
And there's a valuable lesson to be learned at the end of every episode, so stay tuned. This week we are talking about Parallel Leap Syndrome by Takahashi Nobuyuki. This is from Young King Comics. The first volume was just published a few weeks ago in May of 2023, so this one is brand new. It's been published in the magazine Young King Comics since late 2022, so it's actually a quite new manga. I'm excited to talk about it. This is my pick this week. But before we dive into this week's read, I think we've got a Mangaroos manga news alert.
Was somebody going to do the alert sound?
You know it. We'll add that in post.
Okay.
We got a couple of news flashes for all you manga crews out there. First up is we wanted to bring everyone's attention to the fact that Matsumoto Reiji, absolute manga giant, who passed away earlier this year in February at the age of 85, which is amazing considering his life work and how long his career spanned. There was a special goodbye memorial celebration of his life in Tokyo on June 3rd, which is just a couple of days ago from when we were recording this, with over 3,000 people gathering at Tokyo Kokusai Forum to say goodbye to the departed master. I mean, the genius who gave us Captain Harlock, which we reviewed on this show just a few episodes ago, as well as,
It was a great one.
It was good. And
Yeah.
Now that you have reread Captain Harlock, do you not see it just popping up everywhere in daily life?
Actually, I don't, but I'll let Jason say that he does.
There's a Captain Harlock here in the room with me as we speak.
Wow.
Oh, gosh. Very timely.
Is there a woman also there? A very highly combustible woman?
Very wispy. And,
Women who burst into flames.
Yeah, her eyes are gigantic black blobs.
Oh my gosh.
No, I know what you mean though. I think in terms of like seeing its influence and feeling the vibe from it. But no, I don't think it's that work. I think it's so, like, you know, Spaceship Yamato, maybe Galaxy Express. Those ones definitely popping up all over the place. I think Harlock was actually kind of a cool deep cut type of pick.
I was rereading Uchisenkai Yamato the other day just for fun, because I picked it up when we were talking about Harlock, and I had some time between books on the train. There was this deep jab that he made in there. It was like, you know, they repaired the prize warship of the Japanese Imperial Navy in World War II, Yamato, and they outfitted it with this crazy new warp drive that they got from alien technology, and it became the space battleship Yamato. And while they were taking off on this test mission, as they were being attacked by this alien race, they got it out into outer space, and they were like, "Well, what's this super warp drive do? Does it do something really cool, like turn the battleship into a giant human-shaped robot so we can fight off all the bad guys?" And they're like, "No, that's stupid. Who would ever do something as dumb and old-fashioned as that? It just makes us go really fast." Yeah. It was like an obvious dig at Gundam. It was hilarious.
Shots fired.
Shots fired in more ways than one.
So this farewell ceremony, was this open to the public? Could anyone attend this? I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I think if you've ever attended a funeral in Japan, you kind of have to get an invitation.
Yeah, get an invite.
Yeah, that's why. But that they must have sent out a ton of invitations.
They did.
3,000 of them, I guess.
Yeah, that was what the news said. 3,000 people gathered to say goodbye, offered flowers, as you do, and these kinds of settings. And then Matsumoto Reiji's photo was placed on a railroad to the stars with Galaxy 39 characters.
That's nice.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, it was very fitting, very picturesque.
What an amazing send-off.
Yeah, no, for real. We can only hope that Jason, Alex, your lives are so similarly honored at the end of your railroad. Many, many decades, if not centuries from now.
Maybe not, but it's okay. I'm at peace with that.
If there are 3,000 people at my farewell ceremony, I will be very surprised. Unless they're like giving out free blueberry pancakes that day.
Blueberry pancakes.
Because everybody likes those. Well, rest in peace to Matsumoto Sensei. Awesome that event was held. And yeah, just what an amazing tribute to someone who, a giant in the genre, or in the industry, I should say.
Without question. So,
very cool, very cool.
Speaking of giants in the genre, Alex, there was another news flash that you were going to hit us with.
Yeah, Satoru Noda is coming out with a new manga, and is it ice hockey? And that one's for Jason, right?
Oh, shit!
It is, because I'm Canadian, so automatically I am interested in reading a manga all about ice hockey. I think I find this to be deeply hilarious, just the fact that it's happening, because as everyone knows, obviously, Noda Satoru Sensei, creator of Golden Kamuy, which is maybe the most insane manga series that I've read.
It's slapstick, but it's pretty
good. It's not the
Come
most
on.
insane. It's
No,
not the
it has
most
a
insane.
sperm detective. Everyone seems to forget about the sperm
It's
detective.
the Meiji era. Anything can happen. Come on.
I guess that was pretty common back then. No, but
I feel like that Golden Kamuy is the most maybe influenced by the quirks of the author's interests. I don't know.
Lots to unpack there. I just think, obviously he's very excited to promote Hokkaido and Hokkaido culture, snow and cold, icy activities, winter sports. I just think, how familiar are you? I know last week we talked about hockey jerseys very briefly, but are either of you very familiar with hockey and hockey culture?
No, I spent a lot of time in Hokkaido, but while we do have hockey teams, it's not as celebrated as the national pastime of curling. So no.
Oh, really? Curling is bigger.
Curling is huge.
Wow.
You can do curling anywhere. You just need ice and some magnets.
How do those work?
Wait, there's magnets?
No, it's just rock.
No,
Okay. I thought there was just the
You can
brooms,
do a lot with magnets.
the sweepy brooms and the thing that they throw.
And the shouting. You have to shout
Yeah, I don't know
at
anything
the
about
brooms.
ice hockey, and I don't know much about Hokkaido either. So I've only been like one time. So
Yeah, I don't know much about ice hockey culture in Japan specifically, and obviously Mark has more Hokkaido experience than both of us put together. But I will tell you this, as someone who grew up in Canada, hockey culture is just like, to devote yourself to a life of ice hockey requires a particular brand of very dedicated insanity, because you need to book ice time at like 4 or 5 a.m. because that's the only time you can get it sometimes.
Because it's so
skate
popular,
around.
like
Or
the
it's because the
rink?
ice melts
Yeah.
and breaks on you.
You have to get all the hockey finished by lunchtime before the ice melts. No, it's because exactly. There's a limited number of rinks. Everyone wants to use them, and you're competing with the figure skaters as well. But the thing is, like, if you talk to hockey guys who really like make a professional career out of it, even if they don't necessarily become pros, they really dedicate their lives to this sport, which involves, first of all, skating, which is crazy. You know, really physical play with other guys that are going like 1,000,000 miles an hour on skates. And if you want to meet someone who's really insane, talk to a hockey goalie, because your job is to get shot with rubber, pucks, like basically big bullets that go like 100 miles an hour when someone slap shoots them at you. So I just think Noda
I feel like
Satoru,
there's some people who just are like thrill seekers, though, and that stuff is like their bread and
totally,
butter.
yeah. It's a very particular kind of thrill. I think he's the perfect mangaka to capture that like really insane just dedication and like, that kind of thrill seeking. So I don't know. I'm not like a huge hockey fan, but I have appreciation for the kind of crazy people who play it, and I think that could really work as a manga. So I'm looking forward to that one. I think
one to
that'll be
watch.
fun. Do we have any idea when that's sort of expected to debut?
Oh,
Alex, can we go ahead and say June 2023? But it wouldn't be Ikinari Tankobon. It would be like
no, it would be a chapter.
Of course.
It would be a chapter. Yeah.
Where's it being published even? I don't know if we know.
Oh
that
man,
yet.
Sorry, the research was not done properly. So.
That's okay.
It has been announced. We don't know the title
it's
yet.
for Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna try to read the news because then
Looks like July 27th, maybe.
Yeah,
for the
that's
first
what I was
chapter?
gonna say. July 27th.
Okay, that's not too far away.
Yeah, it's not
the
too far
title
away.
is not yet decided. Very excited.
In Young
for this.
Jump.
Oh,
So
Young Jump. Okay.
They have a month to decide the title.
That's plenty of time.
Yeah.
I got a feeling maybe they know what it is. They just haven't told us yet.
They want to
okay.
really drag it out.
Well, so looking forward to that one. Ice Hockey Golden Kamui. Will there be a crossover? Why the heck not? You know what I mean?
I mean, you know that there's going to be informal crossovers, so.
Certainly hope so. Well, that's
You mean a goalie that can't die? Sure, I'd read that story.
All right. Okay, so I think that's going to do it for this week's news roundup. Thank you both for that. So switching gears then, moving back to this week's reading, Parallel Leap Syndrome, Takahashi Nobuyuki. I tried to find out as much as I could about this guy online. There's not much. He's got a Twitter account, which doesn't have a huge following. So, he's not super active on Twitter. Supposedly he has an Instagram.
Let's get him a few more Twitter followers with
we'll
this
give him that
podcast.
Mangaroos bump.
Yeah, he'll get at least 10.
He's published a couple of short stories. So this isn't like the first thing he's published, but I think it's his first ongoing series.
Yeah,
so what is Parallel?
It said that in the Atogaki. Like, this is my first thing that I'm doing.
I don't even think I read that.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, you're right.
The one with the little space astronaut down at the bottom.
Yeah, the one with the little space astronaut.
Which was a doodle that he drew in art school and really, really liked, by the way. I found that out by stalking his Twitter.
Wow.
Tashkani. Yeah, and I think it's the same little space / ocean spelunky type dude that's his Twitter avatar now.
Yeah, that's the one. A little bit of Jacques Cousteau.
It's very cute.
Yeah.
So Parallel Leap Syndrome is about a guy, a sort of I don't know what would you call him? Kind of a hangdog, kind of lovable loser type guy.
I don't know if lovable is the right word.
I don't know if lovable is the right word.
You made it all.
Okay, just loser.
I have a lot of thoughts that we're gonna get into later.
Let's get into it.
Okay, Alex, can you let it rip right now? Like, what kind of a person is this main character?
This is the opening. The opening of being at a wedding. Actually, Jason has it as a background of like she is doing her vows and he is scream crying in the background, not so far from where they're doing their vows.
The most important moment of these. If you've ever been married, then you know that the wedding is the most sacred part of the entire. That you fuck that up and it's all over.
I mean, you planned that for months,
hang on a
right?
second.
And you spent
Everyone
so
on
much
this
money.
call Everyone on this call is married.
At
not to
least
each other.
twice.
We're all married to different people.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me you didn't have someone scream crying at the back of the venue?
No,
when you were
because you don't
standing there?
invite the people who are going to
Yeah, you don't
scream,
invite those
Jason.
people.
Come
Yeah, you don't
on.
invite those
This is
people.
Japan.
I found
You don't
that
have to
very
invite
identifiable.
everybody.
Wow. Okay, my bad. Because, I thought that was like
There
typical
were-
wedding behavior.
There's nobody like crying in anguish in the back of my chapel, but
And if
I
they
don't know,
are,
maybe-
then they're seated in the table way near the back.
I hate to get meta on both of y'all, but if we think of wedding vows as plot recap of a manga we read, and if we think of scream crying as just jumping in and talking about what a jerk Yumejiro is, you all both just kind of started scream crying while I was exchanging my vows. So let me give a quick recap of Parallel Leap Syndrome to anyone who hasn't read it yet, which I expect is a lot of people. So Yumejiro, who may be a jerk, who scream cries at weddings. We don't know if that's serial behavior or if it's just one time. He is deeply in love with a woman named Haruko, who is not in love with him because she married someone else.
yeah.
He scream cries
It
at her wedding.
it would seem evident, but
I mean,
who
it's a life
knows?
choice. We make
Yeah.
choices every day. Sometimes you choose to marry someone else.
He's also got a friend, a childhood friend named Satoimo. And what happens is he's so bummed out after this Haruko wedding that he goes on a very sad, sulky walk, I guess just to get
He
his
goes to
act
die in
together.
the forest, pretty much.
Basically,
Pretty
yeah.
much. He's willing to do that if that's what it takes. But while he's walking through the forest, he stumbles upon a sort of combination cafe and lighthouse that's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, which is run by a group of a cast of colorful weirdos.
I thought it was a cast from
And-
Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's basically manga Twin Peaks, and one of them wearing a space helmet for some reason. And for whatever reason, stumbling upon this cafe grants him the ability to leap through different timelines or parallel existences, lives he may have lived in alternate realities. And I guess we can say that mayhem ensues. So that's basically the plot summary. Alex, what did you think? Apart from Yumejiro scream crying during Haruko's vows, what did you think of the manga in general?
I mean, in general, it's okay. Like, I really like the art, and
Yeah.
I really like the way a lot of things are drawn. But man, I just don't like Yumejiro, and I don't like how tropey everything is, and it's like so tropey. So predictably, like in all the tropes that I actually don't like. So I feel
like
like
what ones?
this was
Be
just like
specific.
hitting all the tropes I hate. Like when there's always the like you're actually in love with your friend, and you can never say. And there's always that trope where the girl is still friends with the guy because she's grateful just to be his friend, but the guy is never satisfied with just being a friend when it's his romance. Like, it has to be romantic. Like, and all those years were wasted, which
Like
he literally says was wasted. Like, it was wasted time. And just, like, that opening of scream crying at the wedding, plus, like, a few pages after that saying it was wasted time, being friends with her,
Yeah.
that was just out for me. And, like, if he had not said that, I would have been a bit more sympathetic. But just, like, those
words, those two words.
Yeah, they were a waste of my time. Yumejiro.
Jeez.
What about me?
Give me those pages of my
Let me
life
do
back.
I agree with the trope analysis, but before we get into it, Mark, what did you think?
Man, I had such a hard time getting into this art style. And I know it's because I've been spoiled. I've been raised on like Akira and Ghost in the Shell. And I'm expecting some sort of like sci-fi cyberpunk thing from Parallel Leap Syndrome. But when I got into it, it was not that at all. It took
Yeah.
me a long time to really sink my teeth into this. I think by the time that we started getting into like the multifaceted parallel worlds that are out there for Yumejiro, I started to get a little bit more hooked in towards the end, and the pace picked up about halfway through, and I really appreciated like the Matrix esque homage with the Obacha and the cafe towards the end as well, who I think
Yeah, that
may
was a
have been,
highlight.
I think that may have been Haruko by the way.
Yeah, I think that was Haruko.
I just think it was a
Definitely.
different version of it, dropping some wisdom on him. I thought that was a
Yeah.
nice touch, and I felt the story picked up around that time, but it was a really slow start for me. And I think the biggest thing that was holding me back, besides the art style for the manga, was Yumejiro as a character. Just for the same things that Alex was saying, it's not quite a harem manga, but it's like here you have this girl, Satoimo, who is obviously in love with this guy, Yumejiro, which you pick up on early on, and then that just becomes increasingly more obvious as you go through. And he just is blind to the fact that the perfect partner for him has been by his side the whole time, and he just keeps chasing after this Haruko that he can never
This is
get.
the trope I hate so much. I hate this trope so much because it's always like the patient, gracious girl who's just happy to be his friend. And it's like, wait, why couldn't Yumejiro be the gracious, loving friend to Haruko that she could realize was the gem all along? Because he's an asshole. Sorry.
No, that's a great point that you raised, though, because it is obviously a trope. Can you think of examples where that trope has happened where the genders have been reversed? Because it does seem to be sort of unique to stories where it's a male protagonist, probably a male writer, male creator. I can't think of examples
It's
where
hard.
it's
Like that's like a very niche. It's a niche trope, so it's hard. But and also I can't think of any.
ReZero,
I'm not
Amelia, and Tsubasa. No, just kidding.
I think so interesting that you struggle with the art style, Mark. That was definitely what drew me to this. I love this art style.
I knew that you did, and
I also am on the side of this art style.
I knew that you both would be for it.
It's very indie type art style, so I think that's why we both like it. Maybe.
Yeah, it's extremely indie style. It looks like it could have come out of any era, almost like any country. It doesn't specifically look like what you would call manga typically to me. Obviously it has manga influences, but yeah, it feels just as much influenced by like, I don't know, even like 1950s cartoons. Obviously, Takahashi is clearly a student of art and he's obviously a lover of classic movies. I think in addition to being really tropey, this is obviously a collection of references to things that he likes.
Like Doctor
it strikes
Who.
me,
like Doctor
for
Who.
example.
Yeah, and he's got the Death Star on the cover. I like that.
Yeah.
And honestly, the homage that he paid to was it Hajime no Ippo or Ashita? No, it's Ashita no Jo. Ne? There's one scene where Yumejiro gets like punched up into the air by one of the Harukos, and then the next page is just like the drawing style is suddenly exactly like Ashita no Jo, and that just made me laugh out loud. Like
Also, the panels are the same.
exactly, yeah, just like really, really well done homage. So I think this is another example. Like last week's read, Tonari no Hyakkai, I think I mentioned after we finished recording, and I wished I had said it in the episode, but like that book to me was very much about vibe and just the style, and maybe the storytelling wasn't super great. And I sort of feel a similar thing going on here. Like, yeah, the plot's not the strongest point. Maybe Yumejiro sucks and is unlikable. I'm not really going to go to bat for him, but I didn't have as big of a problem with him.
You're not gonna go defend your boy.
Not my
Yume.
boy. I didn't hate him, but I wasn't like, this guy rules.
Right.
But yeah, I think this is another manga that's definitely like a vibe and a style to it. And you either click with it or you don't, because if you're only in it for the plot is kind of just an episode of Tiny Toons. It's kind of that level.
Only without those lovely They Might Be Giants providing the perfect background music.
But I could see that happening, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so one of the questions I wanted to ask then is, we mentioned Satoimo a little bit. She's the childhood friend of Yumejiro. They've been friends all throughout university. They're still friends for some reason. She seems to know that she shouldn't really be his friend because, like, what exactly is she getting out of the relationship? So at least she's aware of the fact that he kind of sucks. And she refers to him as a kuso-yaro on several occasions. So I think maybe we've kind of already answered this. Would you agree that Yumejiro is a kuso-yaro Alex and Mark, what do you think? Is that a fair assessment? I guess what I'm really asking is, what does the word kusoyaro mean to you?
A jerk face.
Jerk face.
Selfish asshole, but he's got those boyish Matthew Broderick good looks, I think. And I mean, the hair.
He's got the sweeping hair.
The sweeping hair, which was, I mean.
And the long legs. Everyone's got long legs in this, but.
They do.
Super long legs.
And especially
very
Satoimo.
stylishly drawn feet.
Yeah, feet are good as the motorcycles. I mean, he's got the 1983 starter jacket on from high school, even though he's kind of like Nene Fusho. You don't really know how old he is. I mean, I can see how he has a few things going for him, but it's mostly his attitude towards life that is just, it needs some fixing. And it takes a few goes around the Dharma wheel before he finally figures out where he needs to be in life.
That's a good point. Alex, do you think he's a kusoyaro?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. if I hadn't been clear up at this point, just like how egocentric can you be to think at someone's wedding, if I had proposed first, they would have chosen me.
Knee-jerk reaction for every wedding.
Like, did anyone ever think that at a wedding? And if you did, you listener, if you did, you need to check yourself, because the person getting married also has a brain and has desires. And if they wanted to marry you, they could have let that be known a little bit sooner. And
also, just don't go to the wedding if that's how you feel.
Don't go to the wedding.
If you think, hey, if I go to this wedding, there's a chance that I might start crying hysterically and uncontrollably, maybe stay home. You know, maybe just send a nice bouquet instead.
And then, like, ghosting. Like, he completely ghosts her at her own wedding, too. She's like, my dear friend is here. I'm so happy. Let me introduce you to my life partner. And then he just leaves. Like, okay.
Well, I don't know.
Prima
Is
donna.
Haruko partly to blame? Like, is she equally clueless? Because, like,
I'm wondering,
must...
because, okay, sorry, so here's my thing of Satoimo, when she's in her chapter thinking about how she's different from Haruko, she even says that Haruko always says her feelings clearly, and that she's, like, very in touch with her emotions. And just if you knew that about her, which I'm assuming that Yume knows that about her too, and she never told him, I like you in that way, or I see you as, like, maybe something more than a friend, if she, like, couldn't even bring herself to that, I don't think she was into it. And, like, he just was wishful, I think, because his name's Yume. Like, it brought up a red flag for me, because I was like, maybe she's a shy girl and she just couldn't do it because she was shy. But then Satoimo's chapter comes, and it's like, that's something I admire about her, is that she is in tune with her feelings, unlike me, who can't tell this guy that I actually like him.
That's a great point. And that kicks off this whole storyline about, like, what is it? There's like 12,000 different parallel lives where you will meet a Haruko, and there's maybe one of them where she doesn't hate you. Isn't that like the data that Yumejiro is given? Something like that, right?
Pretty much.
And so it begs the question, even if he does manage to find that one Haruko that doesn't hate him, will he even still like her? Right, because they explore that issue of, like, the different Harukos.
Didn't he find her and she was a muscle maid or something?
No,
yeah, but you know that's not going to be the only one.
Yeah, no, there was also the one where she was really into him when she had the short hair, but then he was a cheating jerk, philanderer, and he was the bad one.
Yeah, I think that maybe the math doesn't quite add up here.
No, I think also this first volume, volume 1, proves the point that Yumejiro should never have gone after Haruko. He and Satoimo were supposed to be together the entire time. I think that's abundantly clear by the end of volume 1. And if anything changes in volume 2, then I don't even know what these 200 pages were about. Because that's where he's taking us.
Yeah, and it's almost like not sadistic, but it's like a nihilistic enough manga that I could almost imagine, you know, him coming to that realization, like, oh, it should have been Satoimo all along. And then he finally confesses to her or whatever. And then she's like, no, you know what? I've had enough of your shit. You're a kusoyaro.
Yeah, I see
Forget
that.
she ends up
I
with
see that
Haruko?
going there.
You know what I mean? And then-
she ends up with the Haruko who was lesbian in that one
And that one
universe.
scene, yeah.
And that could be pretty. That could be pretty.
And
Interesting.
that would be a good ending, right? Let's just make this a 2-volumer.
Yeah.
Well, I
Move on
wanted
to the next project.
full disclosure. The reason I asked about the Kuso-yaro thing is because I don't know. Has this ever happened to either of you? Has anyone ever asked you? So living in Japan, you get these certain typical questions from people sometimes, right?
Are you a
One of the
Kusoyaro?
No one has ever called me a Kusoyaro.
Has anyone ever asked you, why are you such a Kuso-yaro? Because I get that all the time.
No, my son calls me Mindokusai all the time, and I'm like, do you even really know what? Well, he says it about everything. He's like, it's time for dinner. He's like, Mindokusai. And I'm like, time to go to bed. Mindokusai. And I asked him tonight. I was like, do you even know what Mindokusai means? And he's like, yes, of course. It's like when you don't want to do something. That's Mindokusai.
Hey, he's not wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
No, but the question I've gotten a few times, several times, is what is your favorite Japanese word? When people find out you can speak Japanese and read Japanese, sometimes people ask you, like, do you have a favorite Japanese word? And I've never really had a good answer to this. But, you know, in recent years, I've been thinking about how much I love the word yaro. Because if you know about Japanese, it's... what would
It's
you
useful.
directly... It just means, like, guy, right?
Yeah,
Like,
or like a Joe or whatever.
Yeah.
yeah, but you can just affix it to any word. So, like, if you're driving behind some truck that's going really slowly in traffic, you could be like, kono toraku yaro. You can just stick anything onto yaro, and it automatically makes whoever you're talking about just like this terrible jerk. And I love that word. I love the utility of it. I love
you
how
love
it
the
sounds.
newfound
Jason
power. The
Yeah,
power to make anything a yaro.
Because it doesn't have any inherently negative meaning, but the way that you say it makes it negative. And if you say it at the wrong time, people will be like, oh. So, you know, when Satoimo calls her friend a kuso-yaro, which is literally a shit dude or like a shit guy, it's just like, wow, that's really, that you really got to mean it to call your friend that. So that's why I wanted to sort of explore the etymology there. So thank you for indulging me. But yeah, the Satoimo chapter, she gets her own chapter. It's like the fourth, I think.
It's number 5. It's number 5.
The fifth. Oh, shoot.
Yeah, episode 5. Yes, yep. I have it in my show notes, and that's where we find out that she is the true heroine. Also, huge shout out to the wolf cut for Satoimo. That's so hot right now in Japan. So great job.
Yeah. Yeah. It just, a lot of the drip in this manga in general is just like really,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like currently trending or if it's just like,
No,
kind of
this
greatest-
is all like this. He's got his finger on the pulse of the zeitgeist of hip, trendy Japan right now because it's all in here.
Yeah, I'm an old Kuso-yaro of a man, so I don't know all of the latest trends, but I definitely
You're a
recognize some of them.
Heisei-yaro. You gotta
Yeah.
get
I'm
on the
a
Reiwa.
Showa-yaro. Yeah, no, I'm old, man.
I'm sure
I'm
this
like,
mangaka is also pretty young. Like, they're just starting their career too. So
well,
they're
that
probably
actually...
No, or not very young? Or,
No.
Oh.
I totally. I'm glad you mentioned that because one of the things I wanted to mention about this manga is one of my big takeaways after finishing it was, yeah, this feels like a young man's manga. This feels like something made by like, I don't know, a 25-year-old dude, you know?
Well, it's in Young
a
King.
young yaro, a young king.
A wakayaro. Yes, Slay King.
Wakayaro!
So when you got it out, you wanted to. I could see you bottling it up, and it came out. The Satoimo chapter, when it happened, for me personally, I was like, "Oh yes, finally!" It felt like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Let's get a different perspective. Did you find that to be like the most interesting chapter in the story? Because I did. I would love to have seen more of the story from her point of view. But what did you both think?
Alex, by all means, you first.
I mean, this is just gonna. I feel like I'm just I'm going on a rant. It's just because
do it.
It's okay. No, rant away.
It's because in this
you
comic,
deserve to.
Yeah, the Yume has been pinned as like such a Kusoyaro that like his perspective on things is like not relatable. So then finally you go to her who's actually relatable, and she actually has like also he like I don't know, his feelings towards Haruko, they are so like, I mean the manga itself questions his feelings towards Haruko like multiple times, but like they're so like you don't really understand them, and like it just doesn't make sense sometimes, and so it's kind of like hard to be like, oh yeah, I get that. And then with Satoimo, you see that she like actually like takes time to be around him and like talk to him, and she's always like there for him. So you can feel more of like the humanity of the love. I don't know. It's just this like tonight. Because like this author decided that I guess this is the character to go with for the main character. Like I don't know why they do this and make the guy's love like so one-dimensional and like not interesting, and then they give the interesting parts to the girl who like. I don't know.
He's setting it up for the big reveal that
yeah,
Satoimo
setting up for the big reveal.
But you're right. They could have made the romance with Haruko a little bit more convincing, because all we know is like she applied for some gardening scholarship or something, and she didn't get it, but she's still gonna try hard at gardening. Oh my goodness, give me the wedding ring.
Right.
Did you all notice how damaged and scratched up her hands were?
They were real scratched up.
I mean, I garden. I understand the struggle.
Then you know the pain. And did you ever get a scholarship?
No.
No, not even once.
No.
And it's hard. There's so many farmers out there. One in
Is she
1,000.
a farmer?
No, she's
I don't think
gardening.
she's a farmer. I think she was just doing some like kung
She's
fu
trying to get
thing.
into gardening school.
Mark's very confused about how plants work.
Yeah.
This is the second manga we've read for the show that features Gunma Ben.
Yeah.
Did either of
It
you
does.
go back and confirm? Is this Gunma Ben consistent with Blood on the Tracks? Are they from different parts of Gunma?
Alex, teach us the ways.
I don't know, because like actually like in the part of Gunma I was like there were the older people who had it, and then the younger people who didn't have it, and then the people who moved there who obviously didn't have it. So I only
But
heard
we're looking for it.
Yeah,
They went there to try to get it.
Or they're looking for a salary, or they're looking for something. But
Gunma's the place to go for a salad. That's for damn sure.
I mean, it seemed correct to me. Like, I'm guessing, is this author from Gunma? Just because nobody puts in Gunma Ben if they're not from Gunma. That's kind
I
of the
assume
rule.
he must be. I do not know for a fact, but
Blood on the Tracks, that guy was Gunma all the way. So I'm assuming
Guess
this
what?
guy is Gunma Oshi.
I mean, he just doesn't have a Wikipedia
Pride,
page
yeah.
yet. We'll have to look a few years down the line, see where he's coming from.
Takahashi Sensei, if you're listening, please let us know. Are you from Gunma?
Yeah, inquiring minds want to know.
Because we think you are.
We're assuming you are.
Because nobody likes Gunma Ben except people from Gunma. So, yeah, you can't go with Gunma.
Some things are acceptable, some things are not.
Can we bleep that?
Yeah, we'll bleep that one. That's not okay.
Wow. Sorry. My apologies to all Gunma people and all people everywhere.
You need to apologize to the horse mascot. That guy's most
Gunma-chan.
affected. Gunma-chan, yeah.
Little known fact, a friend and coworker of mine actually performed as Gunma-chan for a very brief stint.
Oh my god.
She got to wear the costume. And
Maybe
dance
if you
around a little bit.
apologize to her, she can pass it along to the rest of Gunma.
To the government.
Wouldn't be the first time I apologize to her. So we didn't really like Yumejiro. We didn't necessarily love Satoimo.
Oh, wait,
we
but can we say
Gunma
that
Ben.
maybe
Yeah.
this intense feeling of revulsion that we all felt toward Yumejiro was part of Takahashi Sensei's
Plot.
plan? Yeah?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. I
And
think
in that case, he succeeded.
he's not designed to be a likable or enjoyable character. He's
No, not at
an
all.
object of ridicule.
No,
All
but
of the other characters are kind of like, this guy kind of sucks.
yeah.
Which makes you wonder about Haruko, right? Like, what? She's one of those characters that's less of a character and more of a plot device, obviously.
Yeah, a MacGuffin, totally.
For now, yes.
What
Maybe
about
it
all of
changes.
Yeah.
the weirdo supporting characters who live, maybe, or work
And I
at the
want to know
cafe?
more about them.
Yeah, what did you think of them? I thought they were pretty cool. Alex, would any of them jump out to you?
I mean, I just want to know their stories. Like, one of them looks like a lumberjack. So I don't know what's he doing.
I wonder if those two guys are supposed to be a couple. I kind of got that vibe.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, the teddy
Ah.
bear.
Wasn't sure.
I mean, they got those big manly beards. It could be.
And there's that really surly lady
Lady?
with the
Yeah.
short haircut.
yeah, I
Yeah,
like
she-
her.
She is dropping some knowledge. So the
She's
lady
got some potential.
with the fishbowl on her head, and I only read through this once. Is she the master of the kisaten, or does she?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, she
so
seems to be.
It's
She's in
her.
charge.
It's her place.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it was a cool setup. It was a cool plot device. I like the look of the cafe with like the lighthouse out in the middle of the forest and whatnot, and then like the deep like the vaults like in GoldenEye. If you can remember going back
that
in
was
there.
maybe my favorite part of this
That was
whole
cool.
book.
That was a cool scene when she goes down
Yeah,
there
that's
and
cool.
fights like the 120,000 possible parallel loops.
I mean, one of the questions I always want to ask, and that we always ask each other on every episode, what was your favorite panel? What was your favorite page? That was mine. When she takes the little
Yeah.
elevator down into the depths of the cafe, and you find out
That was like
it's
a
just like this-
sci-fi scene.
that one is good.
And,
That one is good. Yeah.
very cool because it hints at so much more that could be going on. And it shows the potential of this book. Like, if it does have a really long run and if it picks up a readership, like, there's no reason why the Yumejiro Haruko Satoimo storyline couldn't just end and then like a
Yeah.
whole new set of characters could just
It could be.
pop up at the
that could just
cafe,
be
right?
volume 1. Yeah. It could be like Ooku.
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or Chainsaw Man, like
Yeah.
Or Chainsaw Man. Like after volume 13, it's just like a different
Yeah.
person.
It's just a whole new set of characters. One of the things I really loved about this book, maybe my favorite thing, I mean, you could say like the art style, the visual style, but to get a little bit more specific, I thought like the sense of place in the environments was really well realized. And I'm talking about like there's that room where Yumejiro almost confesses his feelings to Haruko. I feel like I'm in that room. I can feel the sunlight coming in through the window. Or like there are those rooms where they're like, when they're sitting outside at the nomikai and he's having a cigarette. Like one of the criticisms I had for Tonari no Hyakkai was like, I couldn't always tell what was happening visually or where I was supposed to be. But in this book, I felt like the locations themselves, like just the backgrounds were just so beautifully illustrated. What did you think of those? Did that resonate with you at all? Did you pick up on that kind of vibe? Mark, Alex?
Me or Mark? Go. Mark. Go.
Okay, yeah, no, absolutely, I did. I felt like what Takahashi Sensei does really well is he brings the here and now part of Japan to the story. Like these are all places that we have been. That you've been to this cafe, you've sat outside on a similar bench. I mean, we've had similar experiences, right? Whereas with Tonarino, the one that we led. Tonahyak, the one that we read last week. Tonahyak, the one that I read last week. That there was so much esoteric goodness in there that, I mean, I have to be honest with myself. I don't really have a lot of experience with those kind of places. No 7-Eleven that I've ever been in had a deep dark space into a secret other dimension. But can I say that, when they were doing like that butsu butsu kokan thing where they did like the shadow play where they were explaining the rules of these demon night markets where you don't say anything and whatnot. So I was on a walk with my son by Ikegami Honmonji, and which is like the huge temple in Otaku, and they were having like this pop-up shop open house in one of these smaller temples. There's like a cluster of temples all around this giant temple, and they were having this pop-up shop where you have to like go inside and walk inside the temple and you like get to buy stuff. Sure, it's like becomes a little bizarre, and they had that print, like not from the manga, but like, oh my gosh, what is this? Like in this temple that looked like it could have been a couple of 100 years old, and it was a little bit freaky. I had a freaky moment.
Did you feel a dark void open behind you for a second and then close?
It wasn't so much a dark void as it was a dark reminder that we just read that the other day, and I promptly got the heck out of there.
Was your
Before
son
anything
like
freaky happened.
Mendokusai?
Yes, Mendokusai. Papa Mendokusai. I'm like, yeah, sorry, this manga's freaking me out. But yeah, no, I feel like Takahashi-san, he brings it home and he brings it real. And I also think he does a really good job of conveying his sense of space and like atmosphere with his drawings.
Yeah. Like the dimensions of the space, I can feel what it feels like to be in that cafe. I have a sense of how big it is. What the vibe is like in there. I don't know,
Except
Alex,
you
you're the
didn't
best
know how
artist.
big the basement was.
Well, that's part of the reason why it's such a shocking revelation when she goes down there.
Yeah.
What did you think, though, like from an artistic perspective?
So I think that like I think overall like this artist is better at paneling and layouts than Tonihaku person. But I also think that there is, what Mark said, the problem of subject, in that they're ephemeral. Like, there's a lot of like crazy stuff happening and kind of
Fair
bleeding, and you don't know what's reality and what's happening because of these crazy ghosts or whatever. So there's like, that's a plot point to make you confused like him. So there is a bit of like intentional confusion, but then also unintentional confusion. And then I think that paneling is also very like genre based. So like, this artist is very like firmly like shonen, like seinen, more towards like, was it dansei muge is like the terminology, even though it's not for men. It's not like men can't read slanted panels, but
you mean Takahashi Sensei?
yeah, but like in shoujo manga and josei manga, there's a lot more like fluid panel,
Totally,
and,
or
like,
sometimes no panels
slanted
at all.
or no panels at all. Yeah, so there's a lot of like, so I feel like it's like the topic. There's also the author's way of handling it, and then there's the like distinction of like where you're coming from, like what kind of drawing style you're coming from. So and that also affects your paneling choice. So that's why I think that the panels are very easily read here, even though they're a bit offbeat at points, where there's like those little black panels where it's like Yumejiro's thoughts, and it's like,
and it's just text only.
it's just text only, which is very strange to me, but it like
is a
makes
weird
it
fit.
offbeat, which gives it the indie vibe though. So
Jason, it
And
reminds
another-
me of your thought bubbles comment.
the thought bubbles.
Oh, interesting.
This is another way to do thought bubbles.
I found it more effective. I found it less intrusive than actual thought bubbles. Although I didn't love the panels that were like presented like a multiple choice text adventure video game, like option A, option B, option C.
Oh, I didn't mind those.
Thought it was a cute device narratively, like thinking through what the potential options are. But I just thought, like, why does it have this weird user interface?
Well,
on it?
because it's a harem, like as Mark was
it
saying,
is-
that this
it is a
gives harem vibes. So it's
Total
just
harem
it's
vibes.
leaning into its haremness.
And what did you think of the Nico Nico Doga panel that just had all of the
Sho
comments?
Natsukashi, and I wondered if like
Disho?
if Takahashi Sensei, like if he even experienced that. Well, he had to. If he is indeed
Yeah.
about 25.
I mean,
then
it
he
still
lived through it.
exists. It's
It
not
does,
like
but like
disappeared.
honestly,
Yeah.
since Amoeba came out, who really watches Nico Nico Doga anymore? It's pretty much Owakong. Let's be honest. It's 2023, so I think he
you heard it
grew up-
here.
you heard it here. It's done.
R.I.P. Nico Nico Doga.
R.I.P. When you
They don't even do the convention anymore.
I mean, maybe they do.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know. It's been
So it used to
long.
be like a big thing. Those like that like
It used to
Nico
be bigger than
Nico, like,
YouTube.
yeah.
in Japan.
Yeah,
right?
that's crazy.
Convention.
I remember looking for videos from Japan before I even came to live here, and there was stuff you couldn't find on YouTube, but you could find it
Yeah,
only
yeah.
on Nico Nico Doga.
Definitely.
It had a place.
Good old days. Good old days.
But yeah, I think he had to have experienced that in his teens. No, so
Yeah. Well, who knows? Like, he might be way older than we think he is.
we don't
but
know. Please
Yeah.
let us
Yeah.
know. Please write to us and tell us your true
So how
age.
old are you and where are you from?
We have many questions. Come on the show. We want to interview you. There are a lot of different Harukos presented in this story. If you had to choose one, and you have to for the purpose of this question, which single Haruko of all the dozens that we encounter would you want to learn more about, Alex?
I know
have to pick one.
Mark is doing such a like Nazo hand signs, but I guess I'll just say mine quickly. Is that there's a polygamist Haruko that's dating 19 men who look the same.
That was a little bit creepy. Yeah.
I just want to know what's happening. How did 19 men look the same? Or are they people? Does she like scout for boyfriends who look similar to her boyfriends that already exist? Or are they like 19 men who are born at the same time from the same mother? Is that possible? I don't know. I just have a lot of questions about that Haruko because she's leading an interesting life.
Just that whole reality in general.
Yeah.
Like, what's
19
going on there?
centuplets. Oh wow.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
It's a good pick.
The one that I wanted to, the one that was most physically appealing, I don't know that that's the question, was short hair Haruko. The one but she was really worried about him cheating on her all the time. So I would have liked
that's the one that beat him up.
She did. I probably would have gotten into that relationship a little bit more. But the one that I found absolutely unacceptable was, it was Paige.
Oh no, was that like the Culture Wars?
Yeah, the Culture Wars. It was like page 174 when it goes into like the different. You've got one with the ram horns, and then you got the lace up back dress with a black hat, and then you've got like the American Indian, the Native American, the Native American dress warrior. It's like watashi no inochi ga anata o hitei shitemasu, and I was like, what? Where does this come from? But I mean, it just gets weirder from there. So I appreciate it. It is fun to draw. I appreciated the author's dedication to variety. I think they explored just about all the possible outcomes.
I could think of a couple of different possible ones, but it's okay.
Every single possible Haruko.
Jason, what about you? Did you have a favorite?
Yeah, I'm just really intrigued. Same page as the one you mentioned, Mark, actually, but 2 panels over, there's one Haruko that's wearing like a snorkel and flower pants and a kind of it's long sweater, and she just says "Iya de gozaru," and what's going on with her?
She's busy.
Clearly, she's got a lot going on.
I think that's a boku joshi. I think she calls herself boku.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, she's wearing flippers and indoor wear, so she's got some. Cool stuff
that might
on.
Be the norm of that world.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
No, totally. That's what I mean, because these Harukos suggest all kinds of different, implications for the worlds that they come from. Mm-hmm. It's a real Rorschach test, when you see this many different Harukos. What does this say about you, that you choose this particular one?
Uh-oh. Cool. Does it say that I want to date 19 of the same guy?
I don't know.
Not saying, just saying. So now I have to ask you the most Mangaroos question of all, which is this. If you had to return Parallel Leap Syndrome style to like one particular moment or person or encounter in your life again and again in dozens of different realities, what would that moment be, Mark?
I thought about this a lot, and the answer that I arrived at was nowhere. I love my life choices. But if I had to pick, like seriously, I don't think I'd go back and change anything. Like not anything this big or this defining.
No, I'm not implying regret, by the way. Just if there was one moment that you would go back and explore.
One thing that I thought would be interesting was a decision that I made about 10 years ago to move to Tokyo and start the salaryman life. Mm-hmm. It would be really interesting to go back and explore the other options that I had at the time, because that definitely really defined a lot of the way that my life has been since then. One of you might have been, one of the marks might have had scuba gear and flippers on, like right now. Could very well have been. I mean, I don't see why not. They're hanging in my closet, so it's not a far cry from reality.
Yeah, but that's a good one though, because
that'd be interesting.
That's a whole chain of events that you kicked off by doing that, right?
It is, but I wouldn't go back and explore the decision to move to Japan when I did. I felt like that was a good move, and I'm not really interested in changing that. Yeah.
Sliding doors moments, right? What about you, Alex? What would be the moment?
So yeah, I'm like basically the same answer as Mark, is that I have no regrets. But no regrets. Yeah, now that you say that this isn't about regrets, but I don't know, but any other world that I would make different choices would be a different outcome. So it would be sad, and I like this outcome, but if I had to do it, I would do like Mark, in that there were many times when I was in Japan where I thought, maybe I should leave. And obviously I haven't. But if I had, there were 2 options that I would most likely either go to the US or I would go to Italy. And I would just want to see what those would be like. Yeah, like what is Italian Alex doing? Or what is the US lifestyle Alex doing?
Yeah. Like you could be senator.
Yeah, I could. I don't know. I don't know if nowadays I would want to be anywhere near a public office in the current state of things, but yeah.
Well, does Italy have senators? You could be an Italian senator.
Yeah,
You would be a representative.
I don't know. Italy too is there's a lot of
maybe not
fascism going on. I don't know. In the world today, there's a lot of fascism.
It's not all JoJo's in
Politics in
fashion.
general.
What about you, Jason?
Yeah, so sort of similar, but I think kudos to us for all not having a Haruko. I think there's something creepy about like
It's
being
creepy.
that obsessed with
Yeah,
one person.
you probably need a little bit of therapy to get over something. And I think if you're doing a podcast, you probably have pretty much everything sorted out in your life.
Obviously.
Yeah.
This
Talking
not a
is our
replacement for
therapy.
Yeah.
Talking is out there.
No, there was, when I came out of high school, I won the award for best film and video student. We had a film and video program, and I was like, I was pretty much decided at that point in my life, I'm going to be a comic book artist and writer, and I'm going to make movies in some capacity. And everyone just knew that was going to happen, and it was like, yeah. And then moving from high school to university, I made this conscious choice to like move away from the arts. I was like, obviously I will never have a career being, I just took like a really realistic mindset for some reason. And I was like, this stuff was fun as hobbies, but now I have to shift focus and, think about more serious pursuits. And so I studied Japanese, but,
This most serious language and business oriented.
I often wonder what would have happened if I had continued on the path that I and everyone else fully expected that I would have, because in high school I was known as like the guy who does weird art shit all the time. And then I basically just stopped doing that. And I always wonder kind of why did I stop? And then also what if I hadn't stopped?
I think the world got to you. The world got you down.
I was just like, now I have to be an adult, I guess.
Yeah.
And being an adult means never having fun.
Yeah.
So, and I guess the, past couple
Fiscal
of years.
responsibility.
I guess, just wondering. And I think to bring it back to this manga, I think that's actually what really appeals about this manga to me is that it sort of reminds me of that much younger version of myself when I was just like, when I would have been willing to put myself. Well, hopefully
and
I wasn't
you were crying at the
but-
wedding of your lost dreams.
No, but like just the willingness to put yourself on the page. I think this is actually a really brave work in a sense because it is such a reflection of like obviously stuff that Takahashi likes and just stuff that he thinks is cool. So even if there's things we can fault about it, and there certainly are, I really admire that courage to express himself in that way. So kind of wonder what it would have been like if I was able to do that.
Yeah, I was going to say that like my other answer to this question was I wouldn't really want to leap back to change something. I would want to leap back to give myself like pep talks. And I think maybe that's what you want to do, Jason.
Maybe. I think for me it's more just like what I like about the concept of this book is the idea of like exploring what other realities are like. And then if you don't like them, you can just be like, whoa, I'm out of here. Time to go back to my real reality. And to be fair, the science of how Yubejiro is leaping amongst all of these realities isn't really explained. And why can't
has
you just
yet
go
to-
back?
it has yet
I
to
think
be
it's
explained to
okay. It's okay. It's
And we
okay.
have
I'm
no
fine
idea-
without it.
We have
We
no
don't need to
idea
do
the
it.
physical toll that this is taking on his mortal
Yeah, and
core.
also what is happening to the Yumejiro of that universe? We don't know. Yeah.
Who
We have
knows?
no
Who
idea.
knows? There's a lot of questions. Okay, so I guess sort of wrapping up, final thoughts. We asked this question last time, and I think this is a really good question to keep asking. How many volumes do you think this goes, and do you think it gets localized? Obviously, two very different questions, but feel free to tackle them however you like, Alex.
If they pull a thing where it moves on to different characters, I could see like 5 to 10 if it's super generous, like if it's super like catches on. But if they don't go past these characters, maybe 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That feels
completely
about
agree.
right.
If you look at the last page of this volume 1 where you have Satoimo waiting in the 1938 Nazi
motorcycle.
sidecar motorcycle, and like this really like Taisho era Japan looking setting, which is cool and interesting. I think it'd probably be really fun to draw. I think it's really setting it up for the part of the story where Yumejiro figures out that he was really in love with Satoimo the whole time. So I think that's the direction that he's going to take it. I mean, unless he pulls like a big fake and takes it in a completely different direction, which he could. I mean, that's up to him as the author. But if they stay with the love triangle that we have right now, 2 more max. Man, there's only so much. Next one, he figures out that it's Satoimo, and then 3, they end up, Satoimo and Haruko end up falling in love, and that's the end.
No, I think that's exactly accurate. There was actually even a point towards the end of this first volume where I wondered if this would be the only volume. Like I could almost see the story wrapping itself up within this volume. It didn't go that way, obviously, but no, I think that's exactly right. Do you think this gets localized? Do you think it could? Do you think it should?
Would you localize this, Jason, if you were given the chance?
God, yes, in a heartbeat. I would love to. Somebody let me do that, please. Yeah, absolutely. I think the art style alone is appealing enough to hook a lot of people. I think this feels like one of those manga that could be a lot more popular outside of Japan than it is in Japan, if it gets the right kind of loving treatment. So shoot, yeah, maybe I will localize it. Why the heck not? I don't know.
I think it depends on where it goes is what I would think. But
what do you mean, like where it gets published? Or?
No, like where it goes beyond this. I don't know. Like the first volume was like, it's okay. Like this, like the art is really good, and like the pacing is really good, and yeah, like you said, the sense of place is good. It's just like story wise, I feel like it's lacking a bit pizzazz. Like I'm okay. Yeah. Like I'm okay with Kusayoro characters. Like that's totally fine, but. I need to feel like there's some part of them that is redeeming and like lovable, even if they're complete trash bags or whatever. Because like there was you didn't ask me my favorite panel, but I'm just gonna say it now.
Oh please, yeah.
Like my favorite panel is actually a Yumejiro panel when he leaves the cafe and he's like. You're criticizing me, but I'm criticizing myself before you even criticized me, so your criticism doesn't even count. Like, it's just wasted, like, words. And I'm leaving. Like, and then he leaves. That was lovable to me. That I was that's the Kusayoro I want. I want the one who's self-aware that he's a giant asshole, and he's, like, fine with it. And he's, like, he knows he's flawed. Like, I want that. And why did I have to wait until the end of this book to find it? So I just wanted more of that. So it's like embrace it.
I'm glad you mentioned that, and it shows that despite all the really good cartooning in this book and like the really really slapstick stuff, everything everywhere all at once vibes, it is capable of like real moments of real human emotion. I agree. I'm glad you mentioned that. And I think Mark, I forgot to ask you too, what was your favorite panel? Did you have one?
Oh gosh, no, I had a couple of notes. The one that really, like the first one that I encountered that I was like, hey, this is kind of awesome, was this page where Yumejiro just breaks out the electric guitar and it's got like cho kawaii, and I don't know, that one just like it came out of nowhere, and I felt like the artistic flex was nice. Like it just really popped out to me. But the favorite panel artistically was the Taisho Japan that they step out to.
All right,
yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, that I wanted to know more about this parallel world more than any of the other parallel worlds that they've explored so far.
I will definitely be reading volume 2 just because I found this to be a fun read. I thought it had a good sense of pace. It was just enjoyable the way watching cartoons is enjoyable, even if I didn't necessarily love the plot or the characters. I'm intrigued to see where it goes, and I want to see more of those people who work at the cafe. Final question: who would you recommend this to, if anybody, Alex?
I was gonna say what you said of like I recommend it to people who want something like easy to read with like nice art, and just like you don't have to think too hard, but just my trigger warnings for like friend zone tropes. Just like as somebody who's been like I've been on both sides of friend zoning type like kata omoi type situations. So like I understand it's like
love.
very unrequited love. I've been there, like, and so I understand it. But that maybe it's because like I've had experience with it that I do get annoyed when it's done so like the one pattern type way. And just like so anyway, that was probably like what triggered me. So but if you're okay with that, then totally fine. If you love unrequited love, then this is the book for you.
What do you think, Mark?
I think this book is for people who think they're in love. It gives you a chance to really check your emotions at the door.
Nicely said. That's going to do it for our discussion of parallel leap syndrome. Takahashi Sensei, for the third time, if you're still listening by the end of this episode, you're welcome on the show anytime. We'd love to talk to you. We're cheering for you.
We want to know everything about you.
We just want to know.
Clearly interested.
You could say we're in love with him.
Yeah,
we are.
absolutely.
Is this a kata omoi situation?
I hope
It
this
might
is
be.
a parallel world where we get to meet up.
I hope he's not married.
Mark, tell us about what we're going to be reading next time.
Thank you for that introduction, Jason. Next week, we're going to check out a new book called Usuzumi no Hate, which just came out very recently in April. So a little less than 2 months ago from where we're recording today. This is on Haruta Comics. It has an English title, A Mission in the Apocalypse. So it's a post-apocalyptic world from what I can tell so far. There's a tribute, I think, to a certain series that we'll get into a little bit next week. It's by Iwamune Haruo, who we're also going to take a little bit of a deep dive into next week and find out more about the works that he is into. So stick around. Look forward to talking about this new release with you all next week.
I'm really excited that you picked this one because, as we all know, it was one of the ones I was thinking of picking.
Yeah.
So secretly very happy that we get to talk about it. And this one's got a lot of strong buzz online. People online are really into this one. So
Wait, what about parallel leap syndrome? Did it have the same amount of buzz or no?
not the same amount. It has
didn't
some.
win the gardening concours.
Okay. But
It's
it tried
newer
hard.
as well.
Okay.
I think, it hasn't been around as long, so we'll see. We'll give it a chance. You can email us if you want to talk to us, whether you're Takahashi Nobuyuki or somebody else, at mangaroospodcast@gmail.com.
We love everybody.
We're sort of on social media at Mangaroos. Thanks very much for listening. We're very happy that you joined us, and we look forward to joining you next time, too. Bye.
Bye.